Villawood Properties, premier partner of the Riverwood Football Netball Club.
Welcome to the Tank. My name is Paul Nichols, or for those that don't know me, Nico. On tonight's show, we're going to review the results of the big game, Anzac Day against Macedon. We're going to catch up with the Victoria's coach, Nick Ash, and the skipper, Brent Swallow, who'll share their thoughts after winning his second Grumont medal. We'll also chat with three of our stars celebrating senior club milestones this weekend and the much anticipated clash against Diggers Rest. Before we move into the festivities, we'll talk about and share the results of the Facebook poll from last week. As you would have known, thanks to Roddy, there was a vote about embracing the shark. Response from 80 votes, we had the yes vote attracted 78% and the no vote 22%. Boo! We'll keep you up to date in coming weeks and be sure to keep an eye out for future polls. Righto, let's get on with the show.
In the seniors, Riverwood 16-12-108 defeated Macedon 8-9-57. With 10 goal kickers, it was a great sign for the club. The top 6 sees Woodend, Riverwood, Wallen, Macedon, Diggers Rest and Sunbury Kangaroos. In the reserves, Riverwood 15-6-96 defeated Macedon 1-4-10. Mark Young, Eddie Whelan, Jaden Swallow, Chris Lucas and Alex McConville amongst the goals. But the best were Alex McConville, Mark Young, Eddie Whelan, Lukey Ball, Dean Halliwell and Michael Fox. In the under-19s, Riverwood 15-8-98 defeating Macedon 3-3-21. Jake Sutton with 4 goals. Brock Lant best on the ground. Riverwood sitting atop of the table after round 3.
Rightio, and here we are with senior coach Nick Ash following today's very impressive win over Macedon. Nick, your thoughts please?
Yeah, it was a really good contest for us. Obviously we played 2 other finals from 2017 in Sunbury and Romsey, got over those 2 and obviously playing last year's premiers on their own Dunghill. It was a really good win in the end and really proud of the boys. Backing up after 4 days is never easy, especially when you haven't got physios on call 24/7 like the full-timers have got. So it was a massive effort for the boys to get up and perform the way they did.
Early doors, their entry and forward was so precise. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I reckon probably the first half I thought we were up and about, really using the ball well. I thought the heavy legs sort of got in the way of that in the second half, and I reckon if it were fresh off a 7-day break, you would have seen us using that footy quite well in the second half as well. But in saying that, we managed to outscore them in the second half, which was very pleasing as well. Yeah,
they challenged us a couple of times and we responded quite well.
Yeah, the boys did really well, like especially in that third quarter. I think they got under 30 points for the first time since the first quarter, and put our composure down back, just to wrestle momentum back our way was a real credit to the back 6 and even the midfielders getting down there to make options for them coming out.
Always satisfying to beat a quality side.
Certainly is, and the boys will enjoy tonight, and then we look to reload against Diggers in a fortnight's time, which will be another challenge.
Thanks, Nick.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
Morfab Engineering, platinum sponsor of the Riverwood Football Netball Club.
Okay, we're here with Brent Swallow, winner of the Grumont medal for best on the ground today. Brent, it's your second medal.
Correct, it is, yes.
Fantastic. Great game. What does it mean as a win for particularly yourself and in the club?
Oh, I just think it shows how far we've come. We've lost 4 times to them last year, so it's good to get one back on them, and it turned out to be a pretty big spanking, so it was good. Now the belief starts to build and hopefully we can roll on through Diggers and see how we go.
Fantastic, mate. And the medal, what does that mean to you?
Just playing on the Anzac Day is such a special occasion, so to be recognised, I think there's a 22-player effort, and to be recognised is pretty special, but I think a number of players could have got it, and yeah.
Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you.
In netball, A grade, Macedon 46 defeated Riverwood 40, with Abby Gilmore scoring 21 goals. In B grade, Riverwood 43 defeated Macedon 24, with Hannah Keane bagging 22 goals. Best were Ebony Lyons, Georgia Baseggio and Beck Said. In the C grade, Macedon 26 defeated Riverwood 18, with Danielle Scatamalia with 9 goals. Best players were Maddie Stafford and Holly Bates. In the under-19s, Riverwood 36 defeated Macedon 19, with Hannah Keane bagging 23 goals. Best for Riverwood, Emily Katona and Holly Bates.
On to interleague news. The RDFNL announced its senior interleague squad this week for the 2018 clash with the Central Highlands League on May the 19th. For us blokes, that's a bye. Fantastic. Last year's grand finalists were heavily represented, with no less than 11 Rupo players this week named in the squad, I should say. So we extend our heartiest congratulations to Brett Chambers, Sean Hetherington, Toddy and Dylan Podolzak, Kane Murphy, Captain Brent Swallow, Nash Egan, Lee Wellington, Aussie Cicero and Dean Putt, who'll probably be a bit sus with injuries, and Johnny Barnard in his first year with the club. Well done to all.
Pinnacle Print Group, platinum sponsor of the Riverwood Football Netball Club.
Okay, this weekend, Toddy Podolzak plays his 150th senior club game for Riverwood, a great achievement indeed. Now Toddy, what year and what age group did you start at?
I started age group under 10s and I was 8 years old.
Okay.
2 years under 10, so.
Gotcha. What are your memories of junior footy, mate?
Oh, I'm actually being 110 kilos. Not my frozen Gary.
Not
Kicking
a bad
10 goals
size.
before half time against Gisborne.
Is that right? You?
No, Nashi.
Nashi? Beautiful. Now you would have played under a few coaches. Who was your favourite and why?
Oh, that seniors and juniors, yeah.
Yeah, may as well.
I don't know. I haven't got a favourite really.
Okay.
No.
You don't have allegiance to Nick or anything, no?
Nah. Fitzy, Nico, BJ, all of them. Junior coaches are all good.
Beautiful. Good answer.
Frankie Vandenberg was a good one.
Geez, you're being kind now. Very kind. So you're originally a wingman, and now you've made the transition up forward. How did that occur?
No, that was Fitzy's doing. BJ had me on the wing, but yeah, Fitzy put me up forward and yeah, I've moved since then.
Okay, good stuff.
Good Fitzy.
And I believe you're the only 2009 VAFA Senior Premiership player still on the park.
Yep.
What are your memories of 2009?
No, I can't remember back that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hot day at St. Bernard's. Yeah, I can't remember actually.
How did you go?
Nah, shit, I was back pocket back then.
Alright, we might move on then. Now they tell me you're a bit of a fan of the artwork, yeah? You got plenty of images, you know, some that are pretty questionable. What can you share with the viewers about? Have you got Courage somewhere on you?
Yeah.
Maybe established 1991?
Yeah. Established 1991.
Beautiful. And Courage?
Yeah, Courage that here was.
Lovely. That's probably about where we go. I hope you haven't got Wendy down there, or welcome to Jamaica. Have a nice day. But we might move on. Nathan Webb holds the tally of club games record.
Yeah.
Any chance to break that? And if you did, you reckon you'd have any feathers left on your head by the time you do it?
Nah, I've not a chance to break that, but no, another year of 7 and that's it, okay. I'll be bald.
I reckon by then, me, you and Rog will be the Three Stooges, yeah? Now, seriously, Toddy, congratulations. We wish you all the best this weekend. I won't say good luck because I hate the term. I know you won't need luck, but all the best, and everyone at the Tank's very proud of you.
Thank
well
you,
done.
okay, well done.
Beautiful.
Right.
Okay, moving on. Also this weekend, another one of our stars, the backline hero Nash Egan, plays his 150th game, senior game for the Rupo Club. What year did you start, and what age group did you start in with the Rupo Sharks?
Started under 9s, a couple of years under 9s, I can't remember what year that was. 27 this year, so almost 20 years ago. But grew up playing with Toddy as well, so I've been playing juniors all the way through with Toddy, which has been good.
Beautiful. Now 150th on the same day.
Yeah, it worked out well, so hopefully get a win.
Big day, hopefully a win, and a few sips afterwards, no doubt.
Yeah, a couple of sips.
Now you would have played under, like Toddy, under a lot of coaches in your time.
Yep.
Who was your favourite and why?
They're all different. Well, as I heard Toddy say as well, yeah, we had Frankie B, like Kevin Quinn, my old man was in there as an assistant. They're all senior coaches, Gav Kerr, Benny Jordan, Fitzy and Ashley, everyone's got their own sort of good traits, I suppose. So, yeah, hard to put a finger on a favourite, but yeah, they're all good.
Good answer, good answer. Now, early doors, it's fair to say you weren't built for speed, if you go on what Toddy was saying.
Yeah.
However, it seems that you've worked your bum off, and arguably you're one of the best backmen in the league now. Tell us about, have you always played in the back half?
Oh yeah, when I was younger I was a bit larger, but so if I was getting some speed up, you weren't going to stop me. But I probably started in the back line more so in the seniors. I was, played a bit forward in the juniors, but it's hard to get. Well, I couldn't get much of a kick, so they put me in the back line. All I had to do was punch the ball, so I'm pretty good at that. So yeah, it's good. I've learned off a lot of good backmen. Nathan Webb, Dave Collins, and the Spirit Boys when I first started. Really good to learn off them. So just going to continue on from that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, everyone down at the club's in awe of the big legend Mitch Brady, better known as the Wet One. I believe there's a bit of a rumour going around that you may have his name tattooed on your bum cheeks. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was actually over in Thailand. And I woke up in the hotel room. My mate wasn't there. I don't know where he was, and I had a really itchy butt. And I thought, what's that? It was on fire, so I walked over to the mirror. And I had a look at the old crack, and it said wet on the ass. So I bought wet back from Thailand with me. That's always a good one for the showers. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Well, on a serious note, congratulations from everyone at the Tank. We're absolutely in awe of your talents and what you bring to the club. All the best this week. Hope you have a win.
Cheers.
Well done.
G'day, I'm Dylan. Welcome to 60 Seconds of Feet. I've got boy Naldy here with me. A few issues last week with the sound, so we're back again.
We're back.
So we'll get right into it. What do you do for a job?
I'm a apprentice electrician for one of our main sponsors, Butler Electrical.
Yeah, good getting them in. You got a Rupo career highlight?
I don't know, maybe on the weekend when I dominated the twos and wet kick goal of the day, or probably the premiership we shared a couple of years ago under the great man.
Onto that. Which AFL player do you model your game on?
Any AFL ruckman, I beat them all anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Dorney? No, Dorney ain't got nothing on me.
Alright, so you played a few years in the 18s. You've had Tony Lucas and Phil Barrett. Who's angrier out of the two?
That's definitely Tony.
Tony?
You can't deny it, really.
Have you got a celebrity crush?
I've got a celebrity crush. I don't know. I think of myself as a local celebrity. I don't have a crush on myself, so.
Next question. Who races themselves the most at the club? Probably other than yourself.
Definitely Brazier, sorry.
Brazier.
Mate, that kid's got ticked up himself miles away. Actually, his close second is his older brother Austin. Actually, it could go either way, really.
Alright, we'll go up to you. Where would you be going for the trip this year?
I don't know, I reckon we should just see if we can hire out the back of the oval for a week and just camp out there and see what happens.
Check. Who at the club would you choose to kick after the siren?
Me.
Yourself?
Yeah. You gotta have self-confidence, don't you?
Alright, last question. Now that Westy has left the club, who is your man crush?
Oh, besides you, Feeds, it's definitely going to be Jakey Benton. I love that man.
Alright, thanks for joining me, boys. See you next week.
Okay, that's it from the Tank this week. Let's all make sure we get down on Saturday for a monster clash with Diggers Rest, one of our arch rivals, with action kicking off at 10 AM with the under-19s. And let's all keep an eye out for the RDFNL Footy and Netty shows with Yendi and Tara. They do a great job. Thanks very much. I'm Nico.
G'day, welcome to another edition of the RDFNL Footy Show. Looking back on the past round, my name's Andy. I'm joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly, and the season's really starting to unfold. We had a few big wins on the weekend, and I think we'll lead into that with our first talking point. The Tigers are on the board.
I was surprised by that margin. I actually tipped Broadford as well, so I probably look like a little bit of an idiot now, but nearly a 100-point win for Lancefield out there. That's going to give them a lot of confidence. As we all know, they've gone back to bringing back local footy, and that's what it's about for them. Got a lot of locals back, a lot of the older players, and it's shown there with a win early in the season.
Yeah, and does that show just, I guess the club's looking for a lot of positives? That's a really big thing for them now, isn't it?
It is. Any wins are positive for any of those clubs struggling down the bottom of the ladder, and it's probably sort of showing they are on the right track, that they are starting to get that confidence as a group and bond as a playing group as well.
Excellent. What does that say about Broadford, I guess, at this time? They've still got a little bit of work to do.
It is, and obviously that we knew they were struggling. Obviously, they lost by over 200 points the week before against Diggers Rest. And they've got another interesting match coming up this week with Rockbank as well. So it will be interesting to see. We know they are struggling, but I didn't think the gap between Lancefield and Broadford was that big.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the upside there for the Roos is their under 19.5s are sensational. They will play deep in the finals. They've got a quality list there, a lot of great young guns there, and if they can maintain their focus and work hard as a team, their future is very, very bright at that club.
It is, and we know with them it is about the future. They've taken a step back to refocus and get this club up and going again, and it is the future, which is where they're looking at.
Just a minor concern there for the Tigers that Matt Bowden injured his ankle in the last few minutes of the game. Fingers crossed, it's only just a minor roll, and he'll be right to go this week. So yeah, I saw him hobbling around during the week, and fingers crossed he'll be back to his best, because he's an outstanding contributor to the Tigers lineup.
He is not only vital; he's vital for both the Tigers cricket and football teams around there. Well known in the area and sort of shown. So hopefully he'll be on the park this week coming up.
Absolutely. The game that I had the pleasure of getting out to, Diggers Rest and Riddle, and the Bombers, they were right in it until 3/4 time, and then Diggers Rest utilised the breeze in the final term and played a really good had a really good last quarter and enjoyed a good win.
It was sort of what we've seen between these two sides in recent years. It's been hard fought for the first 2-3 quarters, and then Diggers Rest has been able to get over the top. So I expected a pretty close match. Both these sides everyone's saying will be up there come the end of the season. For the Bombers now, that leaves them 0-3. For most sides, you'd be a little bit concerned, but this is a situation the Bombers seem to find themselves in regularly. They have a tough start to the season, struggle to get wins, and then they get firing. For me, possibly Diggers Rest extra depth is the difference there. They have recruited well in the off-season, and with that depth, they've got a lot of skilled players all across the ground.
They certainly do, and the Bombers, as you said, they're 0-3, but they could very easily be 3-0, such as the quality in their team. And we knew heading into the season, they knew also that they had one of the toughest draws of any team in the competition. So once they get over the first month, I think things will start to even out for them, and they'll start to use some of those younger players coming through. I mean, there was a lot of positives for them to take away from that game. I think the one thing they probably need to settle out is probably more their forward line structure, how they work with Dylan Tarkson and James Nolan, and probably need to find a bit more of that balance. And Pete Robertson, he played on the weekend, and he played sort of deep in the forward line. So once they sort of work out some of those structures, I think they'll be okay.
And we look at the Bombers at 0-3, but it could quite easily be quite different. It was only a kick in round one, the difference between them and Macedon. They were in front at 3/4 time against Wallen, and before Wallen kicked 10 goals in that final quarter, and then they were in the game at 3/4 time against Diggers Rest. So they're three sides that we all expect to play finals, and the Burrows were in all three of those matches. So a couple of kicks either way, different story.
And speaking of Wallen, also the other big talking point, they had a thrilling win over the Sunbury Kangaroos.
It is. I was following these scores. I was out at a Ballarat Football League match and following these scores, and I've seen Sunbury in front all day. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and thought the game would be nearly over. And 5 minutes at the end of the game, Wallen's kicked a couple of goals and hit the front to get that win. Look, for Sunbury Kangaroos, they'll be disappointed. But they'd also be looking, okay, we can match it with these top sides. They're in the game to half-time against Rupo. This win, obviously, they controlled the game for most of it. They would have wanted to get the win after where they were at that point. But then at the same time, they lost their skipper, Daniel Gregory, in the first quarter with a serious knee injury. So they didn't have him. Curtis Schultz, who kicked a bag the week before against Rockbank, was also off before half-time. So they only had 2 players after that. And then they were run over the top of Wallen. And you've got to look at Wallen. That's 2 weeks in a row. They've come from behind at 3/4 time. shows they've got a lot of fitness and a lot of depth that they can run out those games, but they probably don't want to be doing that every week. They'd probably be wanting to be in front at 3/4 time and then building on that instead of having to come from behind.
And I think that's a reality too. As positive as that is to be able to have the strength to overrun sides, you're going to come across good sides that may hold firm. You realistically, you want to be the side that's in front for most of the game and be the strongest side in the second half, not necessarily put it all in that last few minutes. We know Wallen, they're very hard to beat at home.
And that's it. And you look, Wallen's 3-0, but they've got a lot to build on, and that's a positive thing for them. They've come out, they've started the season like they would have, but they've still got a lot to build on, and that's a good thing for them going forward.
Exactly, and their preparation has been as good as any team in the competition, which we have spoken about over recent weeks. And we'll touch on a little bit of the other games. Wood and Heskett had a really big win over Rockbank. We did highlight on last week's show that the Rockbank were going to do better than their 2 goals performance over the first 2 weeks, and they come out and they did pretty well in the first half or so.
It is. I actually spoke to both matches after the match, and speaking with Lee out there at Rockbank, he said despite the scoreboard they are improving, so it is hard, and he does think that the gap between the top sides and the bottom sides has actually grown, and he said they're working their backsides off, and it's just about making sure they're getting those skills right, and they think they have a lot of improvement with them still to come. For Wood and Heskett, for them, it wasn't about the margin, it was just making sure they were sticking to what they want to be doing on the field. And speaking to them, there's a lot of positives, not only on but off the field. I think the culture at the club has sort of changed. It's a little bit more professional, and they're 3-0, and that's the position they wanted to be in, considering this draw they had to start the season.
Melton Centrals and Romsey, a good contest. The Redbacks running over the top of Centrals in the second half.
It is for a second straight week. Melton Centrals have heading into that second half, but haven't been able to hold on against first Wood and Heskett, now Romsey. For the Redbacks, it's getting that first win, and that's showing that those young guys can run out the game and get those wins. They're the wins they need if they want to stay around that top 6.
Yeah, definitely right there. I mean, they're 2 sides that are probably going to be pushing. Centrals have showed significant improvement in the off season, and we probably expected that with that. And then we'll say that right throughout the year that playing group needed a couple of years to really sort of settle in under Coach Spraley there, so it's sort of working out well for them, and I think Romsey, they'll be looking to just build, because they didn't have the best pre-season that they possibly could, and we're starting to see that after their shock round 1 result or round 2 result, we'll start to see that change.
I think so, and we all thought round 1 wasn't a true indication of where they're at, and I think that was probably a better indication. With Melton Centrals, they said they're going to improve, but whether or not the results showed that, that's the question. And they won round 1, and they've been in both their round 2 and 3 matches in the second half, so they are definitely showing that improvement. And
we'll just quickly touch back on Anzac Day last week. A good game there, but for the Sharks, had a really good win over the Cats.
It is. I'm not actually surprised by that. I think at this stage of the season, the Cats are going to build into the season. They had a slower pre-season than they normally would have, a late appointment of the coach and some of those senior players coming back into the mix, and the Sharks are flying early on. They've still got several players to come back into that side as well, so not surprised by that result at all.
Poor Dean Park couldn't take a trick. He couldn't play due to injury in Anzac Day last year, and the same thing happened this time around. But they seem to hold themselves and match up well. The general sort of feel when you put the 2 lists together is that in the comparison of the 2 games, Rupert's Wood did match up better for height against the Cats.
It is, and you mentioned obviously Dean Park not playing. They've got John Barnard in over the off-season, and he looks like he's been a really good recruit. They've been able to put him in the midfield, and he gives a bit more of a bigger body than what they were used to last year when Park was missing. So that's a massive key for them going forward.
Certainly a lot of positives for the Sharks heading forward, and a lot of things for the Cats to turn around. Tara, thanks so much for joining us to look back on round 3 in the RDFNL. We look forward to catching up with you later on in the week.
Thanks,